I am 50 years old. I have been married for what would be 15 years this year, and going through divorce proceedings now. Still trying to convince my wife to pause the proceedings or at least put them off. I had an emotional affair with a coworker in 2022 when my wife found out. It was pretty traumatic, caused a lot of trauma and turmoil in my family. And so I'm sitting in this at 50, just trying to figure out, like, how do I start over and what do I do? We have 3 kids, 18, 12, and 10. Kind of been putting it off, telling them about the divorce proceedings. We just told them last Friday, and it was rough.
Yeah. So why now?
I think why now the divorce?
Mm-hmm. Like if you had an emotional affair back in 2022, I mean, we're 3 plus.
23 was my wife had a really hard time dealing with all of it.
Okay.
And without going into too much detail, it was just 23 was a really, really rough year.
Okay.
And so starting in about October of 23, we started trying to figure out what our next move was. I quit the job that I was working at shortly after, as soon as I could find another job. I didn't want to up and leave a job. Still needed to provide for the family.
Sure.
But the work environment was just bad.
Yeah.
And so left the job, found another job, and trying to just start over. One of her big questions is why, and I don't know how to answer that, because I look back at it and I don't even know how it happened.
Yeah. But 23 was rough.
23 was rough. We started over, trying to rebuild in October of 23. Went to some counseling for a little while. Went through 24. We ended up selling our house, trying to downsize. And then it's just the mental part of it is too much for her to deal with. She worries about it constantly, worries about if I'm talking to somebody or texting somebody, or we've put stuff in place. I have text messages going to a tablet at our house so that everything is visible. But she keeps asking me the question about why, and I don't know how to explain that.
So, and there's a lot here. I really wish she was on the phone because I want to hear her story. Because I guess here's what I would say: her telling you, "I just can't get over the fact that you had emotional feelings for somebody else." It's not true, and so at some level, she's choosing to stay in this and choosing to stay in this and choosing to stay in this. And so I would want to know what this is accomplishing for her, where she's trying to go with this, but she's not on the phone, so I can only talk to you. So back me up to 2020. We're coming out of COVID. I mean, we're in the middle of COVID. It's a chaotic nightmare, depending on where you live. And you're up north, and so I'm assuming it was pretty rough. And then you're in 2021, and people are just trying to figure out what day it is, and some people are in it, some people are out of it. It's chaotic. It's a post-election. It's just a madhouse. And then 2022, walk me through what happened with a coworker.
So it started as just I worked in a manufacturing environment where there was a ton of people, and it just started with a, hey, really appreciate your help. You do a great job. This sort of thing. And then as the text messages progressed, they just progressed and turned into like, oh man, I love being around you, or I love talking to you. It's like, oh, I love you too. And it just escalated into this emotional thing. And it was never became a physical thing. We never saw each other outside of work. It was always at work. There was always people around. It was never a physical affair. It was honestly, like, if I'm being honest, it almost like it just fed my ego.
Oh, of course it did. Yeah, it felt good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did y'all ever send each other naked pictures or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
So back me all the way.
And things were rough, right? I worked in an environment where I literally worked 6 to 7 days, 12 to 15-hour days.
Right. So that's what I want to get to the context here, because this often happens. Like the way you described it was perfect in that it almost always happens. This isn't 1,000%, I mean 100% of the time, but it almost always, what you're talking about, occurs from two people at home that have gotten in the rut of life, and they've stopped doing what I call the small attenuating behaviors.
Yep. The
gentle touches on the arm, the checking in once a day or twice a day or 3 times a day. People stop sleeping together. People just get into, and this is very common coming out of COVID, people became very good co-managers of their house. You do this task, I'll do this task.
Yes.
And you had 2 little ones, right? So you had what, a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old or something, plus a teenager trying to navigate homeschool. Your wife was probably running up and down a task list every day. You were going to work 6 or 7 hours a day, wearing a mask, not wearing a mask, trying to fight, trying to do this. And suddenly 1 degree of separation, I'll do this set of tasks, you do this set of tasks, turn into we're roommates and we're co-managers and we're just trying to survive this chaos. One person's on their phone, the other person's on their phone, and then somebody at work says, man, you're hilarious. Or one person at work just gives you a very human, I see you and I appreciate you. And it feels good.
Yeah.
Right? It feels good. And then you start having conversations there that either she doesn't want to have at home or you don't want to have at home, or this is a weird thing to say out loud, but you get to a place where you're co-managing the house, but you don't know how to even go back to or start over, how to have those, hey, checking in, how are you?
Yes. Because
it just becomes a taskless rundown. You're just managing the place, right?
Yes.
And then somebody says, hey, this feels good. So I want to say this. I get emotional affairs are heavy and wrong and all blah, blah, blah. But you're not crazy, and you aren't the only person this happened to.
There were other flirtatious text messages,
of course,
as well with other people.
Okay.
And so that piles on top of it. I wasn't in an environment where I could always be available to talk. So there were times where I would get calls at work and I would go, look, I can't deal with this right now. You're going to have to manage that at home because I don't have the time to do it right now.
Right.
And so all of that replays, right? It replays everything from the last 11 years that I worked at the place. Because it was just, it was chaos.
Well, I mean, is this a serial thing you've been doing for like basically hiding from your home at work 6 to 7 days a week and getting all of your emotional, like your productivity, your intentionality, and now your emotionals? Is that all being met somewhere not in your home? So, yes. So I stayed at that job. She begged me to, not begged me, but she asked me to quit the job. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how do you want me to quit the job? We have 3 kids. I've got to provide. And I thought that was my job. I thought my role was, I've got to go, I got to make this amount of money so that we can do these vacations and we can afford this house and we can afford these cars. Sure.
And like, I look back at it now and none of it mattered.
Correct.
Not one bit of it.
Yeah.
Right. But at the time, it was just, I got to go to work. Yeah. I got to do it. And
was going to work a way to not be at home?
No, I loved being at home. Okay. Like, I loved being at home with my wife and kids. It just was the money was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so, yeah.
So take me to right now. What have you done differently?
So I'm at a job now where I'm out. I work basically 4.5 days. I work Monday through Thursday, 10-hour days, 8-hour day on Friday. I'm out at 2:30s. And so I'm home, don't work any weekends. I'm present and doing stuff with the kids. I basically missed out on like a lot of my kids' childhood, and
Sure.
especially my oldest, right, who's now 18. Him and I had a horrible relationship, and it's now like we're doing stuff together, right? Took him out to lunch a few months ago. He's graduated high school, trying to help him be an adult because he's 18, so he's still a kid.
Yeah.
Checking in with the wife. It's just.
But take me to right this second. Why did she file for divorce?
She told me she filed because of what happened and that she can't deal with the trauma. So I, like, back all the way up to the beginning of our marriage, I was the one that put in place, like, hey, we don't ride in cars with people of opposite sex. We set these boundaries. We don't have these conversations. This is how we do it. And I would have violated every single one.
Sure.
Right.
I gotcha.
And so she's got other past trauma too, but this has been really, really difficult.
Do you have any idea what she thinks she is going to accomplish by separating the family up?
I think she thinks she won't have to worry about what I'm doing. I think for her, if the divorce is final, then she doesn't have to worry about what I'm doing or who I'm talking to. And I've tried to say, like, the divorce is just a piece of paper that says we're not married anymore. Because I still care. I love my wife very much, and I've told her I'll do whatever it takes.
I know. I can hear that. So is she through working on it? I know she's filed, but
I don't think so. I still have hope, and I think there's a part of her, like, because we still live together. We still live in the same house.
Yeah.
And so I think she wants to. She just doesn't know how and can't get the answers that she's looking for.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to give them to her. Because, like I said, I look back at it and I don't know how I got to that point.
It doesn't matter how you got there, but if you sat down and said, I was a shell of a person, and instead of coming home for emotional security and emotional safety and emotional interactions, I felt good to get it from someone else, and I went down a rabbit hole, and I screwed up.
Yes.
Okay, so what else is she asking for?
She wants to know why.
I mean, you've told her why.
And I can't, yeah.
So here's what that tells me. What that tells me is she's searching for a feeling that won't come. The feeling that she's searching for will only come on the other end of action. Both of y'all working together. And unfortunately, I'm afraid she's going to try to get that feeling on the other side of this separation, the other side of this divorce, this finality, and it's not going to be there either. It's going to be worse.
Right.
And here's the deal. You've heard my show. If you've listened to my show before, you know I'm pretty rough on men because I feel like I'm one, right? And I can speak from that experience. I hear it in your voice, man. I hear repentance in your voice, and I hear trying to make it right and trying to build something new. And I also hear she is hoping for a feeling, a sense of this, and that's not going to come without a ton of work on her end too.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's tough. What she's going to have to do is exhale and say, I am going to choose to potentially get hurt again. And I'm going to choose to redate this man and re-fall in love with this man, who he is now, not who he was. And there's a lot of hurt in the past. And let's be honest. She contributed to an environment too, fair?
Yes, that's fair.
Okay, I know you don't want to say that kind of stuff, but she's got to take ownership too.
No, because I want to honor her through all this.
I know. That's why I'm saying that's not a place for you to call out. This is the wrong time for you to be like, yeah, well, you did that. You're doing a very right thing, which is to own all of it.
Yeah.
But the only way she can heal is to own her part too.
Yeah.
Okay? And I know this sounds strange for me, and people like to bash me on the internet for how rough I am on men. They don't hear this side of the conversation that I have privately. I want to commend you for taking ownership of messing up. Yeah. And for taking 2 or 3 years of walking it back. And you're living in the grief of, oh my gosh, I traded money for my kid's time. I traded a feel-good relationship with somebody at work for the consistency and love and the vulnerable conversations to tell my wife what I need at home too. I traded that. And sounds like you get it, man.
Yeah, I did. And it's going through that grieving now.
I know. But that's the path. You're doing what you need to do, brother. And at the end of the day, she's got a choice to make. And my hope is that she doesn't assume that everything's going to be better on the other side of a divorce, because now you're going to be, I mean, you think I'm not have to worry about him anymore or her anymore. Sheesh, man. Now it's just going to escalate. I mean, it's just going to be a mess. So, man, appreciate the call, my brother. If you guys both want to call me back on the same call or have her call me, I would love to talk to you.